Welcome back, Podus Operandi. Slight hiatus there last month as scheduling all of us didn't work out, but we're back and happy to announce first time we've had a guest, and it's Jason Hernandez.
Hello, everybody.
With a rich history in filmmaking. You should know him from TransWorld videos and Nike SB videos and a bunch of other stuff we'll get into. Steve's in Long Island, New York. Mitch is in Pennsylvania. Jason's in Southern California. How's everybody doing on this mid-April afternoon?
Doing all right. We got rain here.
Okay. Yeah,
What's
most
rain?
Recently, Jason's been doing his TransWorld Vault episodes on the TransWorld site where he's going through his old tapes. I think right now we're in the midst of First Love, a lot of Shiloh Greathouse and Leo Romero stuff in there. Which, Jason, give us the first and last TransWorld videos that you worked on, so we're kind of in those years.
So the first TransWorld videos I worked on was Free Your Mind was the very first one. And then that went all the way up into Let's Do This. And there was a couple of sprinkled videos in between where TransWorld would do one small video in between the major videos. So it was like Show Me the Way, Are You All Right? So there's these smaller, kind of like half videos in between the big ones.
That's funny because we watched the last podcast we did. We watched Free Your Mind, all three of us, with just kind of like commentary, like not even knowing that we're going to have you as a guest. And Rob Welsh's part still comes up for a lot of people as one of their favorite TransWorld parts and like favorite Rob Welsh part of all time.
There's some stories there.
I was going to say, so before we started recording, we were talking about how you and John Holland would split up skaters, but was Rob one of your skaters for Free Your Mind?
No, I don't know exactly how Rob got in the mix. I would assume it would have been John's suggestion, John Holland.
Right.
And I think it was just kind of naturally fell into my lap that I would shoot with him because I was already going to shoot with Drehobel. And so I was like, all right, Drehobel's in Berkeley, and then Rob was in SF, of course. So I naturally kind of just like took Rob on as like my guy to shoot with.
And do you have a funny story that just popped into your head?
I have a bunch when it comes to Rob. And I mean, first off, Drehobel's song, the most expensive song TransWorld ever licensed.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
How much was it?
Rob's song, I want to say it was 10 grand.
10 grand for Drehobel,
which is a lot of money right now. There isn't companies who want to spend 10 grand on music right now. So that was a big deal. When it comes to other songs, like as far as Rob, that's interesting because we had a song for him for the premiere. It didn't we couldn't get the rights. We had to change it. Couldn't get the rights. And then it was a super last minute that we changed it again. And he was happy with the song, but he would have been happier with the second song.
What was
that second song? Well, it was Chad Tim Tim's song. I honestly, No Sugar Tonight.
Wow, really?
That was Tim. And Rob was salty about that to this day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sorry, Rob.
You ended up just a year later, you were able to get it for Tim Tim? Just
not even a year later.
2 years?
I mean, A Time to Shine was like 3 videos later, and somehow Lori Vincent, the music supervisor, was able to get it for us, and it worked. And Rob and I had kind of a rocky relationship. So that didn't help our rocky relationship. But I think with Rob and I was young, I was a young filmer, and he was used to like Ty Evans, and he would often take jabs at me like, well, Ty doesn't do it this way, you need to like step up your game, or, that's not what Ty does. And we already kind of had like this, I feel like older brother, younger brother mentality thing going. Not that we were that close, but that he'd kind of give me a hard time when we'd go out skating. And so we kind of had this is like a business thing between him and I.
Strictly business when you're filming with Welsh.
But it was, once the video was done, we actually hey, sorry for all the whatever, the heartache. I don't know.
I can't imagine Rob's part without the rap song that's called Frisco, right? I mean, that seems so exactly. Tailor-made.
He looked really good skating to the No Sugar Tonight song. I don't know if that's a proper name of that song.
That Tim Tim part is great edited to that part.
It looked great to Rob too. It looked really good to Rob as well, which is kind of strange, but Yeah, it's so weird how things like that work out.
You should put
I almost want to go back and watch Rob's part.
Right now, you got to play that song under it. Or if you have the edit, Jason, just put it on your Instagram.
Gosh, I mean, if I don't have those type of edits, or maybe, honestly, maybe when I get to a time to shine through all my drawers, maybe I do have the Premiere copy, because the Premiere copy will have that version. So maybe, yeah.
I feel like every TransWorld video, like while I was there, had at least one song in the Premiere that had to get changed, like from Trainwreck to Tori Pudwell.
Yeah, the Trainwreck one is great.
And we'd be premiering, like I remember, like I'd sometimes be sending out like Premiere DVDs to all these shops, all these that were having premieres, and I'd have to tell them, well, this song isn't going to be in like the DVD. But I remember like regional premieres where it'd be like, even the intro song, I think maybe Hallelujah, the intro song got changed, and people were like, oh, maybe. All right. And I'll be like, oh, this one's not going to be on the DVD.
I, to this day, like doing something for Nike currently, like right now, I still like, my biggest fear is music.
Right.
Like to this day with editing and like with big companies and whatnot, like getting the rights to music is still the biggest hindrance in like thinking about how your edit's going to look.
And putting stuff on YouTube nowadays too, from like whatever 10, 20, 30 years ago, is like next to impossible. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I do envy the smaller companies who don't, maybe they select no monetization and they're able to kind of use whatever they want. I envy that, like to kind of just have that freedom.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about free your mind, one of the questions, one of the stories I always wanted to hear from the horse's mouth is the Mark Gonzalez part that never happened.
Right. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting because there was never a plan for him to be in the video. Like it wasn't like from the get go, like, oh, we're going to get Trehobel and we're going to get Gons. I think it was kind of something where Dan might have mentioned it, and then John and I looked at each other like, well, of course, a Gons part, yes. And so he came out with us quite a few times. He'd be in my truck. We'd skate together. We didn't get a whole lot of footage, but I think what happened was I thought I had heard that like he kind of was requesting some interesting things, like to do a video part with TransWorld. And not from TransWorld, but like maybe he wanted like X, Y, or Z from Deluxe or something, or I don't know what it was exactly. But it ended up just being that he just didn't film a part. Like it just didn't happen. And I don't know why necessarily.
Some of that footage that surfaced in your TransWorld vaults of like him at the skate parks was amazing. Like that had never seen the light of day until like a couple years ago, right? I
mean, it'd been sitting there, and I as I flipped the pages over, I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot about it." And then I'm watching it, I'm like, "Whoa!" Like, yeah, we hung out, we filmed stuff, like we skated ripping. I got to like see him be a complete awesome maniac that he is, and yeah, it never got used. Basically,
I heard some funny rumors that you'd go up there to film with him, and he would like ditch you or just skate off, like skate away from the session or bomb a hill and just disappear because he was over filming. Did anything like that happen, or are those just rumors?
No, I think that's a rumor, but there is kind of some, like there's a piece to that that's actually true. That was like a really rad memory I had of him. And I was in SF filming with Dan. We were at China Banks, and Dan might have got his clip. I don't know. And I was leaving to go home back to LA. And I think, Dan leaves to go back to Berkeley. I'm kind of in SF, and I'm just maybe waiting out traffic. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm there at China Banks, like below the bridge, and I'm just hanging out, and up rolls Mark. Like, wasn't planned. He's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, do you want to skate this curb with me? And I'm like, yeah, like, I'll skate this curb with you. And so we're like doing stalls on the curb together. Like, Tim and I were just doing stalls. And he goes, wow, you're really bow-legged. Okay, want to come follow me? I'm like, okay, sure. And we bomb down the hill. I don't know where we're going. I'm not good at bombing hills. And so I'm like, yeah, definitely behind him. And he's like, let's go get a coffee. And we go to a cafe. We sit down. And there's no talk about him being in the video. There's no talk that we'd been skating together. And we just sit down at this coffee shop. And he starts drawing me like these, like his drawings. Like he's like, "Oh, what's your dad's name? Like you live near me, right? Didn't you grow up near where I grew up?" I'm like, "Yeah, we grew up like near each other." And he's like, "Oh, what's your dad's?" He drew me like a lowrider with my dad's name by it.
No way.
And he like all this like gangster writing. He's like, "Here you go, take this." I'm like, "Awesome." And then he took it back.
What?
Yeah. He goes, actually, let me, it was on a napkin, you know? He goes, actually, let me see that again. And I gave it back to him. He's like, "I kind of like it.
No.
Do you care if I keep it? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. You know, like I should have kept it. But anyways, and then that was that. Like he did that. He drew some stuff that I didn't request, and we said goodbye. And I think that might have been the last time I probably like saw him, or, you know, so it's kind of a similar story.
That's amazing. Oh, that's great.
But when he was bombing the hill, like when we were going to this place, he looked like how you think of him in SF. Like he was like doing like the arms and like kind of like fighting cars.
No way.
And, you know, he was like weaving through traffic all like easy, and it was really cool to see. Like I wish I had like a camera in my eye to like shown him do that.
That's so cool, man. That's amazing. Yeah, I remember Kyra Foster telling me stories about when they were filming reel to reel or one of the reel videos, and they'd go to his house to get him for the day, and he'd like answer like either on the intercom or through the door, like, "No, like my cat's sick, I'm not gonna skate today." Like this is just like, if he didn't want to skate, he wasn't gonna skate.
And yeah, I mean, I was, you know, I don't know how old I was then. I was probably 24, I don't know, 23 or something. So here I am, this like really young kind of green filmer, like filming for the pinnacle of, you know, video magazines. And I just didn't know how to like, you know, I didn't know how to, I guess, kind of convince him to go skate. I was just like, would take whatever he'd give, you know?
Yeah. I mean, with him, I don't think anyone really can.
Yeah. To this day.
So yeah, that's why the footage of
I feel like that's part of the mystique is
exactly.
Like, what you get is what you get.
Yeah.
Right.
It's gonna be gold.
Exactly.
No matter what.
And yeah, exactly. It's gold no matter what.
Sweet.
So when he did you guys kind of just figure out like, oh, he's bailing on this, or this is a lost cause, or like did he call it in like, yeah, this isn't going to happen, or it was just kind of like, all right, we got to move on.
We got to move on. I am not certain what I'm going to say, but like I almost imagine like maybe Thiebaud had called us and was like, I don't think it's going to work out. I'm not saying that happened, but I could imagine something like that. Like someone told us like, yeah, he's not going to keep filming this part or something. That's what I remember. I mean, gosh, if you ask like John Holland or something, maybe he remembers something different, but yeah, it was never like Mark called me up and be like, I can't do it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, hopefully we'll get John on here in a future podcast.
Yeah.
He's got to have stories for days.
For sure.
Okay, so jumping way ahead, and we can come back, but so after TransWorld, you went to Nike SB for several videos, which we can talk about. But I'm really curious in kind of when you stopped working in skating. When did that happen, and how was that transition?
So it was pretty much after Chronicles 3 had come out. There had been some new people hired at Nike that I didn't really know, but were definitely people who had a lot of years in skateboarding. And I don't necessarily know how it happened, but after that video, and after that was like, I'd done 4 videos for Nike, and, you know, I get very tunnel vision on videos, and I get very controlling, you know, like on the product of the video and filming it and editing it. So I think that by the third video, I was very like locked in and kind of maybe not like the easiest person to like get along with, I guess, possibly. So after that video came out, I kind of had like an ultimatum in a sense. Like they didn't really need me. They wanted to try to go and maybe get other filmers or like use other agencies or something. So they let me go, and I was devastated, and I was like pretty bummed about it. And then that kind of left me in a spot where I was like, I didn't know what to do. Like, do I stay in skating? Do I not stay in skating? what is skating? You know, I'm growing up, like, do I need to like grow out of it? But then after that, no, like other videos came around, like Saturdays, like Tony Hawk, that video popped up, the Birdhouse video popped up, and they needed someone to shoot it, and it kind of landed at my feet. But after skating, like after that video, after the Nike women's video, I randomly got a gig working in Alaska for a reality TV show. And that's kind of when I started to like step completely out of skating and work in a remote area in Alaska and film for a gold show, which was awesome.
So how you said that gig randomly popped up, but I mean, did someone know of your work in skateboarding, or how did you
totally
really?
Skating is such a small world, totally. Right? I mean, it's wild how small it is. So one of the camera operators on that show, his name's Josh McHale. He used to work at the barracks. He recommended Peacock or something for the job. Peacock couldn't do it. Randomly asks me if I want to do it. It's like, I mean, yeah. I literally have no work. I hadn't worked in like a year or something. And it was, you leave for 2 months straight. You go shoot, and then you come home for a month, and then you leave for another 2 months. Wow. So it was a skate connection.
Yeah. Wow. What was kind of like, what was going through your head kind of when you're up there in Alaska? Like, I mean, obviously way different than sitting in a gutter filming a skater, but I'm just so, I mean, but at the same time, is it easier? You know what I mean? Or was it more grueling? I feel like when you go from skating into other places, in a way, like everything's easier. Like shooting skating is kind of the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. I don't know. But then again, you're in a whole other set of circumstances with different types of people too.
Yeah, like this was different because it's reality TV, and I, to be completely honest, I'd never shot reality TV, so I was like going to go do this thing that I'd never done, and then also I didn't necessarily know how to produce a talent, like a character. Like I'm the producer and the camera operator and the audio person and the guy getting all the cameras and the guy taking the notes. So it was like a whole different side of being a camera operator that I didn't know about. So the first month was like really scary because it was not skating, but I just kind of figured just to shoot everything. And I kind of learned that that's not the way you're supposed to do it. Like you really have to produce these people and get along with them. And after the 1 month went by, I actually saw all these correlations to skating. Like it seemed just like skateboarding after a while. Like my talent was a guy I was with all the time. So he's like a skater to me in a sense. He has coordinates to where the gold is, like literally. So we'd be like on a boat in the Bering Sea, and he would go to a pin and be like, there was good gold here, you know, like a year back, you know, and then that might be our story for the day. And he might be trying to mine that area for a week. But literally, like if he's getting gold, then he's getting clips is like the way I thought of it.
Yeah.
And then the part that I had to figure out was that like he's a real person, just like, you know, he's not a fake person clearly, but he's not an actor. So he's a real gold miner. And I had to figure out how to like produce that person and how to try and create these stories that weren't necessarily even there. So it became easier than skating after the first 2 months. So, and it's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
So I prefer there over a gutter probably most of the time.
Yeah. And then was Grant's Nike part from last year, was that the first thing you'd done in skating since Gizmo or since the Birdhouse video, or how long of a hiatus did you have away from filming skating?
Gizmo was, was Gizmo first? Yeah, I think Gizmo was first. That's right. Oh, I went backwards. I had probably, the Grant video for Nike was my first time I'd been back in skating for 2 years, at least. I hadn't done much.
Had you been following skating while you were away and kind of seeing what was coming out?
I always watch skating. I'm always like on Thrasher. I'm always on a site. I'm always on something. YouTube. I'm actually really into YouTube. So I'm definitely like watching more skating now than I probably watched than when I was in the skate world. So I definitely watch a lot of skating.
And how'd the grant part come about? Who reached out to you to do it?
Awesome. You know, Grant reached out to me for his part.
Wow.
So that felt good to know that. Because I mean, Grant and I had a pretty long relationship. He did Debacle, then he did Chronicles 1. I'd go to Atlanta months and months at a time. So I felt like, you know, he was a friend of mine, but I hadn't seen him, you know, for probably like 5 years or something. So it was really nice to know that he asked for me. And
how was it to get back in the streets after 2 years of not filming?
the first day was like, it was like, you know, I was scared. I was scared because I was like, am I going to know what to do? Like, do I know what to do still? Like, it's his Grant, you know, I can't ask him to do something twice. Like it was easy. I other than feeling scared to be rusty, like it wasn't very hard. I think by like the second day it felt like home again.
I think he's got a clip or two in there where he's hauling ass down a hill, right? Did you bomb some hills with him in that video part?
So no, I was actually kind of stoked on that. I like to weld and I like welding. So I had this idea because they wanted the video to be like him going fast. I was like, all right, I'm going to weld this apparatus that's going to come off the back of my truck that he could hold on to, that I won't see him holding on to. And I'm going to be really close to his feet to show off the shoes. And so I made that for him. And I didn't know how he'd take it. Like if he'd be like, oh, this is stupid. I don't want to hold on to this thing. I want to really bomb this hill. But he played the game. And I had Daniel Shimizu driving my truck, and he held on, and we were going like 25. So he was going faster than he'd go down the hill regardless. But I was able to like lay out of the back of my truck and just get these really like pretty tight shots of his shoe. And then we took it off, and then I would be in the back of the truck still, and he'd just be bombing at the truck.
I forgot about.
I never bombed the hill.
I forgot about the Hernandez that you made. I had one.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah,
I was interested.
Did you have one too, Mitch?
No, I could never get one.
Sold out.
Someone told me recently that people are trying to sell them online again, like
resell
Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, like for pretty high prices.
Wow, how many?
You seen them?
Do you know how many you made?
I've seen it, yeah, because I got like a knockoff one.
Yeah, the Opteca one of those.
Yeah.
Other like amateur welders started making like real simple, just L brackets, you know. And then I was how many of those did you make? Do you know?
No, I mean so the company is kind of interesting because the company was really my parents. Like I designed them, my mom ran the company, and then my dad would be the one basically fabricating whatever I told him I thought I needed or camera people needed. So my dad and I would be tinkering in the garage, and then once we got it to a certain place, he would take it to a different place in Almonte, and they would basically cut out most of the pieces, and then he would finish them, make them smooth, powder coat them. But I'm not certain. I want to say, you know, a good month for them was like, I want to say like 20 to maybe like 15 to 20 would be like a good month that they would sell. And they were doing that for like a couple of years. So if you did the math.
Yeah, they cost what?
I don't know exactly how
many.
Still
not that many compared to the amount of people that are filming, especially DSLR now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I do kind of think it might have been a little bit before its time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you just stop making them because you didn't have time to make them, or?
We stopped making them actually because of the company that maybe Mitch has, the Opteca one. They made one, and they knocked off ours, and then they put it up for half the price.
Oof.
So I started seeing people like, you know, with them, and then my parents started seeing like a big dip in sales when theirs came out, and my parents were going to sue them. Like we had a patent and everything, but it didn't happen. We didn't sue them. It would have been worse probably. So,
well, real ones know. Really just know the easy handle was the OG.
Yeah, if you could have gotten an easy handle at that point.
Yeah, I think I did.
No,
I actually, I sold mine to a homie, but for like a homie rate. We all
like someone told me the other day they saw one online for like $400 or $500, like a used beat up one, and they're not going to break.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of funny.
Shows that they held up 10 plus years.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see, another one I had. So it's another rumor I heard, when you were editing the Chronicles videos, did Nike have some like state of the art futuristic editing room where you could kind of move the sound around?
No. Yes. I made them in my house. In my office. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Funny. The only time I had ever even went to Nike was for the last video. And because the things were getting a little rocky, I guess, on the last one, they're like, oh, why don't you come up here and edit like at Nike? And to me then I had to explain to him, I'm like, I'm going to work less if I come to Nike to work, to like edit. I'm going to have to bring all my gear, all my stuff, my monitors, like all my drives. And it's just not going to be the best way to do this, but they wanted me to. So I did. And so I get there and I'm working, like they put me in like a tiny little office. They weren't really they expected me, but they get me there and then it's like closing time and they're like, oh, well, you got to go now. I'm like, no, like I don't go, like I stay. Like, what do you mean? I'm going to stay here. Like, I can't, like, I only have like a week left. And I started staying there on the floor and I had to stay there without like letting like anybody from, I don't know, the company know that I was like staying there overnight, because you're not supposed to stay there overnight. But no, there was never a cool studio or anything like that.
That's funny, because that reminds me of the old Oceanside room you and John had that had bunk beds in it. Because when it came the last month before the premiere, like, yeah, you guys would have to live in there. And yeah.
Which John Holland, the best mentor, best filmer, I mean, just best person to be around, to learn from. Like, it's not like he expected that. It's because we wanted that. Like we loved it that much and wanted to make it so good that it just was natural that he had to spend a whole bunch of time trying to do it, I guess. So
I remember that would be the only time I would really see like you, John, like you and Bowman, and they'd be like, you guys would be coming out of there like in the afternoon, because you guys probably edited till like 2-3 in the morning, slept in till like noon. Be coming out like you just woke up, but then I'd be all like geeked out, like I'd want to hear the stories about who's looking good, who's like, like, and then I would want to kind of like try and do some interview for the website. But dude, you got a minute to do this interview or something? Yeah. So yeah, there's some good memories from that. The cave.
It's like to me, it really felt like kind of a rite of passage, and somehow to spend, weeks there. There wasn't a shower at TransWorld. So you knew if you were going there, I knew if I was going there, I'm going to either stay on a couch or a bunk bed. I'm going to be eating out of the vending machine or like somewhere. And I'm going to be not showering for like 7 days or something, and looking back, there were some really great times, wandering around TransWorld at like 3 a.m. just to leave the computer, just to like wander around and like go like look at people's desks or do whatever, and then to come like go back into the editing room and like get like some more energy to like start trying to edit some more.
Yeah, I remember when Chris Ray was doing the videos, and then the office had moved down to Carlsbad. I remember him coming down with groceries. He bought groceries for a month to like bring into that room. I'm like, damn, dude, you're fucking serious.
That's a good idea. The older me would have, like, that's what I'd be doing now, is buying groceries.
Yeah, for sure.
Being healthier about it.
Can you tell us what Nike project you're working on now, or is it top secret?
I don't think so. I don't think it's top secret. Yeah, Nike's doing a collab with Futura 2000.
Oh yeah, those dunks.
An artist, a dunk, yeah. And so, I guess that's probably all I can say, is just that they're going to do a collab with that artist, and we have like a really short amount of time to film for it, and that artist just wants. X, Y, and Z skaters to skate his shoes and to get clips in his shoes.
Deshaun was wearing them at Tampa, right?
Oh yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of pulled in to try to create this video really quickly, and quick turnaround to shoot it and then to edit it as well.
I have a funny memory from when you were working on Gizmo. I was at an art show in LA and you pulled up in your truck because you're dropping off Alyssa, and then I could see in the back, in the bed of your truck, you had a big electrical green box strapped down. And someone, I think I was with CU, I think, and he's like, "Oh, like that's Jason, like this is truck." And oh, look at the electrical box in the back of his truck. I was like, "Hell yeah!" And I didn't even know at that time that, like, you know, you and Nike were doing like an all women's video. But
that green electrical box, that was funny. My dad and I made a green electrical box that was supposed to look like a green electrical box you might see on a sidewalk. And so that was my kind of, not my theme for the video, like not to make stuff, but I thought it'd be cool if the women were skating things or spots that weren't like really well known. So I would try to find locations to put things that like nobody would know if this electrical box was real or fake. So yeah, that's why I had that in there.
Nice.
I need to go back and watch that Alyssa part again. I remember loving it.
Yeah, I think the box only pops up a few times. Like, it's not in there much. But I just remember, since I saw it in your truck, I remember like keeping an eye out for it in the video. But it's only in there like once or twice. Yeah,
I think Leticia skates it, and then I think maybe Haley skated it, and that was it. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like a staple in the video or anything like that.
So what else? You've been out filming skate contests in Dubai?
Oh yeah. Jeff Landy works at World Skate, and he asked me if I wanted to go to Rome a couple of years ago to film a contest. And so that might have actually been the first thing I shot, like coming back into skating. That probably was it actually. That's before cool. The Grand thing. And that was strange to like not be in skating for so long and then to come back in and see what people do in contests is weird.
Yeah.
How good they are, you know? I mean, it was really weird. I was in Rome. We're skating at at a Coliseum. So it was like this awesome setting. And then these skaters are doing tricks that would be like enders in their video parts. And they're just like doing them like that. And I'm just there filming like, oh, I missed a lot, you know, like what happened? But yeah. And then I went to Dubai for a World Skate thing twice now.
Nice. Do you have more of those coming up with the Olympics coming up?
So there's 2 contests before the Olympics, and I guess those 2 contests, they don't want anybody filming them except the broadcast people.
Right.
So they can't bring like outside filmers to film them. So I won't be going to them now.
All right, let's do the best and worst dudes that you've worked with filming TransWorld parts.
So I think the best skaters to skate with are the skaters who just have ideas and who are motivated and who like willing to kind of work with you. You know, like if a skater gets a TransWorld part, of course they're excited, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're like super motivated or like, you know, have spots in mind, or like they might expect a lot of you. Someone that comes to mind would be like Clint Peterson. Like he was super motivated. He had spots. He knew where he wanted to go. He was up for, you know, ideas I had. Cooper Wilt, same thing. Tim, like kind of same thing as well. Like, and then you have someone like Dylan Reeder, who just a complete natural, you know, like, and was young, and you kind of get someone at like the right moment who is just like, you know, blossoming. I don't know if that's the right word, but they're just like coming into their own, and like it's like the perfect time. So yeah, I would say, you know, Clint was awesome to work with. Coop was great. Leo was fun. Like Leo was super fun to work with. I don't have any siblings, but he felt like, you know, he could have been like a little brother to me or something. It was, and then I guess you know, there's way more than that. I guess I'm thinking of TransWorld videos. Stefan, like he's a person that I'm still friends with to this day. So like that's kind of a thing too. Like you make a video part with someone and then sometimes that's it, you're done and you don't really ever see him again. But with like Stefan, for instance, like I actually see him like, you know, a decent amount and we still talk. So, but you know, I guess like going back to the beginning of this whole thing, like maybe Rob would have been one that wasn't very fun to work with at the time.
Did you think Nike Chronicles kind of took a page out of TransWorld's playbook where it's like, let's take 5 guys and film for a year and make like, you know, a 20, 30-minute video?
I definitely went to them using that playbook for sure. Wow. I was definitely thinking that it would be smart to break up their team because I didn't think anyone wanted to sit through 15 to 20 riders,
Nothing,
you know? Maybe they did. Maybe
trying to get all of them to film at the same time.
It's impossible.
Exactly.
No one's ever pulled it off, really.
Yeah, so I think it was that. I think it was like, well, why don't we break it up? And then if we break it up, then you can get more bang for your buck. There'll be 3 ways to advertise, 3 videos or I don't even think we were going to stop at 3. I just think we just did stop at 3 for some reason. I think they probably had more riders to keep going.
What about who would have been the best out of the chroniclers?
Grant is just a treat to film. So I feel like on a level of like, if you point the camera at him and you get something, like it's going to look beautiful and gnarly all at the same time. It's going to flow. Lance Mountain, that was a pure pleasure. I mean, God, it's Lance. And when Lance is like going to do something, he's kind of tunnel vision as well. So he has tons of ideas. He knows where the pools are. He's also been through how many skate videos and how many memorable ones. And he shot with Stacy. So it's kind of like, he knows what you're thinking. Like I can tell him like, oh, I'm thinking about this cutting into that. And he might be like, oh, that won't work because that pool is this way. You know, so it's so cool to have that and to have like his knowledge of he kind of knew what I wanted to do. So, and I would be able to bounce ideas off of him. I'm trying to think who else here. Oh, Karsten was fun because he was kind of new to the scene. He came out hot.
How about
oh man,
Chronicles 3 had a BA part, right?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of short.
Short,
he came through on yeah. BA is great. He's so respectful and considerate of you as the filmer being there, and that goes a long way. Like it goes a long way, you know. So he's always super nice, like so polite. Like someone you bring home to like your parents.
Yeah, I met him like when his shoe was out, and I was like a super fan of his shoe. Like I loved that thing, so I wore it all the time. And like kind of like went up to him because he was just at the park with the local park here. It was just him and a shot, and there was really nobody else there. Okay. So I kind of went up and just kind of said what's up and like kind of nerded out on the shoe of like, and he like genuinely took the like interest and like stopped skating to be like, oh, so what do you think about this? And like, oh, I really appreciate that you're into this and whatever. Like took the time. Like he didn't have to stop skating, but he like really, you know, you respect a person like that.
Exactly. Like that's that. So what you experienced from him in that moment was how he would treat you on a tour as a filmer or like anybody on the tour really. Or if he comes to town, he's going to treat you the exact same way. It was always so nice. Yeah. He's good to work with. Here's the opposite. Kevin Bradley. Amazing skater. Like you film him, it's going to be gold. But fucking hey, trying to get him to go out skating and just trying to like convince him that to do something. Or I just remember like filming him and being like, God damn it, like please just skate more, please. Like let's just get more stuff so then everyone can see like just how good you are. But he's a hard one to deal with. So I guess
you're able to put out really good parts with these guys that still might have been difficult. So mission accomplished.
I think my problem I have, and it's a blessing and a curse, is that like I'm kind of I mean, if it was a video, like I was gonna go all in, like I was gonna give the skaters like had my full attention and time. So I was willing to do and go kind of anywhere to get tricks.
What were the biggest differences in making a TransWorld video versus making a Nike SB video? Did you have like less or more control like with one or the other?
I would say the skaters who were in the TransWorld videos felt like an honor, like more of an honor. Like it was like an honor. Like they knew that if they were kind of selected to be in that video, that they were going to give it their all. Not to say that people in Nike videos didn't give it their all, but it was a different, like there was a different, it hit differently with those skaters. I feel like, I
think TransWorld videos were like milestones in guys' careers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's in a way, like, I guess it's kind of how Debacle was. Like, I actually really thought Debacle was a lot like a TransWorld video because it was just the younger AMs,
mm-hmm.
and they were all on the come up. So that video actually felt a lot like, more so than the Chronicles, kind of like a TransWorld video, because it was these like just really hungry younger kids who were really willing to just go for it and skate a lot.
And was Debacle the first HD video that you did or that Nike did? There's some, right? It was.
I mean, I was told, and at the time, I definitely said that it was the first full HD skate video.
Right.
Not to say that HD hadn't been in videos before, but it was like the first, I thought, full-length skate video that was in HD.
Is that the one you won your TransWorld award for, or was it one of the Chronicles?
Yeah, I think it was Debacle. I
feel like
it was Debacle. Yeah, Debacle and then Chronicles 1.
You won 2 of them?
I think that was one of the first ones where like the frame rate wasn't weird.
Yeah, 2, yeah. Well, yeah, the Chronicle. Well, yeah, Debacle obviously like a bit, all HD. And I remember Chris Ray, like we were, talking about the awards in the office, and I remember Chris Ray like Debacle has to win, like what Jason did. That's because Chris Ray was always really technology forward, like you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then I remember like Chronicles 1 and 2. I remember being at the premieres and like the editing and the cameras and the sound. I was like, "Fuck, dude, this is like next level like editing."
Well, it's
like the Otis's like dogs barking and shit, and I just remember it was sick. Like premieres like are so much more like fuck. They hit you so much harder. I don't know, especially when like back when every video had a premiere. I feel like the filmmakers edited for the premiere. Maybe more so than for the rewatch. Whereas now you're most likely it's just going to be watched on YouTube, so you're not envisioning this theater while you're editing.
I couldn't even imagine now, like a lot of these younger filmers, like how they, I guess, like get inspiration to make the videos they make, because a lot of filmers are like really good at editing and telling story, and they're good at putting stuff together. And I can't imagine like their stuff might never get watched on a big screen, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a new generation.
It's on somebody's phone.
Yeah,
it's on someone's phone in the car on the way to a spot. Getting text messages, like Instagramming, like I don't know. There's a lot of things fighting for your attention.
Yeah, there's only like a handful of premieres a year, and like if you miss one or out of town, it's like shit. That might be a year before I see another big skate video.
I can't tell you the last one we had out here.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't think of the last premiere I went to.
Yeah, even some of the ones in LA, it's like they don't like put they don't want the info to leak because of too many people show up. I feel like Baker Has a Death Wish was like that. It was like real like word of mouth. It's like we can't let people know. Well, they had a riot that one time, but
right.
Yeah. I don't know. Like the Lakai video maybe just had that one premiere in LA, and it's like you couldn't make it up to LA that weekend. Like
That's also something too with being out of skating. Like I moved to Ventura, so I lived in LA my whole life, grew up there, and then the Nike thing happened, and then I moved an hour and a half away from LA. So it definitely felt like I was kind of leaving skating when I stopped working at Nike. And so now that I'm up here, I never go down to LA for premieres. Like I kind of don't.
Yeah.
I'm not really in the world anymore, oddly enough.
Yeah, that's a long drive. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I am when I felt, when I get these jobs, like I get back in the world and it feels so cool to like put my toe back in there.
I feel like Ventura has more of a skate scene now than it ever has, with like Mike Anderson and Jake and is Benny still live there? And
yeah. I mean, those guys have lived.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I mean, like Benny's lived here, and Mike, they all grew up here. Curran grew up here. But yeah, I feel like there is more footage coming out of Ventura.
For sure. It's before before Mike Anderson, there was like nobody ever out of Ventura. Like, so
I never came up here, and it's not very far away from Los Angeles.
Yeah, Ventura. Yeah. So Fletch, you had a question about the Eastern Ledges?
Well, I just remember there was an article in TransWorld, and it was how to build your own ledge. That was you, and directions how to build a concrete ledge. And I went out and built one, but I guess there's only so much you can put in the one page, right? It was like one page. So like I didn't have, I had no clue what I was doing. So we built the ledge, but I didn't use the right concrete on the top. I didn't have, the float on top to get it all super smooth. And so it's funny, like trial and error, we had this ledge, but like eventually the top started coming off. And long story short, so we built it at a foundation spot that nobody knew about. And there was local kids there who, it was pretty weird. Like they could barely ollie, but these kids had this, it was in, and I said, hey, you guys cleared this place out. Can I build a ledge here? And they were like, yeah, sure. Cool. And I said, all right, if I build it, just don't, you guys come here all the time. I don't care. Just don't start telling people about it. Cause how these things work, people find out about it. All of a sudden it gets torn down or whatever. And, so a friend of mine went, we built the ledge, and it was crazy how much concrete it took. We had to make like 4 trips. We kept getting concrete, and it just like that soaks it up real quick. And we were like, holy shit, but we made our form. We're going through everything. And I remember too, I learned about hammer drills and regular drills because I'm trying to drill the rebar into the ground, and I'm blowing through bits, and I go, this doesn't work. And, and I was like, oh, I don't have a hammer drill. I have a regular drill. So, I had to find one of those, get the rebar in, and but long story short, we made it. People found out about it, and someone I couldn't stand and started going there, and I was like, I hate this dude, and I didn't build this ledge so he could skate it. So a friend of mine, we're like, all right, we're gonna get whatever footage we're gonna get for a week. We went there, and then we went at like 2 a.m. with sledgehammers and sledgehammered the whole thing, and we didn't tell anybody.
You buried your spot.
Yeah,
and I was
like, screw it, I paid for it. And, like the locals there they were like, yeah, somebody broke the spot, and I was like, yeah, dude, that was me. And they're like, what? And I was like, well, I built it. And somebody started, there's too many people there. Like I told you guys this, and they were like, I get it, it's cool. And then like a year later, they repaired it. And I didn't want to go then because I was like, oh, I'm the asshole who broke their ledge. Now they rebuilt it. And then one of the dudes later was like, yeah, we don't care if you go. Like, it's all good. But
is it still
it was
there
cool to use that.
Day, or is it...
No, it's all they bulldozed it probably 2-3 years ago. But it had like probably a 10-year run. So it was there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it all started from that article because that was so that was pretty cool. So I guess like thank you, and I'm gonna say like that kind of was like when DIYs started coming up and it became a thing, and it was real cool. Like Shiloh's part, skating, all that stuff. And was that out of a necessity? Like we don't want to get kicked out of spots so we can start building them, or because it's kind of risky. Is this like man-made spot going to be cool? People going to,
So yeah, I mean, thank you for getting inspiration from me. That's awesome. That spot directly came from necessity. I could almost think of I could think of how it happened. Shiloh and I are driving in a car. We're talking about some tricks he wants to do, and he's describing what he needs to do these tricks, like what type of spot. And we're literally racking our brain like, well, that doesn't exist, kind of. Like this specific double-sided ledge doesn't really exist, like, or that we could think of. He doesn't want to do them on like a plastic bench in a schoolyard. So yeah, it came out of necessity. He's like, I think I could do a bunch of combos on this style ledge. So I was like, all right, I literally was like, I'm going to make you one. And I didn't know how to make one. So the first thing I did is I asked my dad, and my dad, we sat down like at dinner or something, and he kind of drew it down. He's like, this is what you're going to have to do. Like, I can't come help you because I'm too afraid that I'll get caught or something, you know? He's like, this is what you got to do. This is what you need to do. And I'm just looking at the piece of paper. I'm like, okay. And I'm kind of going over it in my head. I'm like, all right, yep, cool. I'm going to do it. And then I literally went out the next day. Like, I already knew where I was going to make it. And then the next day I went out and just went for it. And fortunately, my dad's like real anal about structure. So like I overbuilt the hell out of the first one. And then fortunately it came out good. And we knew right away, like, okay, we're going to make more here. Like we knew we had kind of the run of the land too. Like no one cared about us being there. We were kind of hidden. Like you couldn't see the spot from the street. A train went by, so like our noise was never going to be any louder than this train that like stopped there and made noise. But yeah, it was strictly necessity to get Shiloh clips. And I kind of have a similar story where we made it. Some people saw us leaving there one day, some skaters, and I stayed back in my car and I saw them go in. No. And this is like back during 411 was around during this time. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty certain it was. And maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Either way, I heard a certain filmer found out about it and was taking people there. And I got heated. And that's when I like drilled basically bolts into the bottom of the ledges, and then I started locking them. Because I really wanted them in our video first, and TransWorld paid for them. Like they did. They funded the ledges, and I didn't want them to show up in any other video, like progression or logic or something beforehand. But yeah, someone.
God forbid progression.
Right.
Yeah. 6 people would have seen it beforehand.
It wasn't even in 4-1. It was in progression.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't 4-1. Yeah.
I don't know. What's at that spot now? Have you been back there?
Dude, yeah, I've been back there, and I'm waiting. It's still a pile of rocks.
Really?
It looks the same to the day that they bulldozed it or whatever, knocked it all down.
Wow, I can't believe they haven't developed that area.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
It's right there in
Shocking.
like El Sereno area,
Yep.
and it should totally be developed, but it's not.
The one page in TransWorld reminded me. I don't think you wrote much for the mag, but I remember you did a one page of how to get out of a skateboarding ticket.
That's kind of what I was thinking when Fletch was mentioning that. I don't really remember even doing like how to build it, but I do remember the ticket thing.
Yeah, I don't remember the one page on building ledges, but I remember the how to get out of a ticket because I think I put that on the website, like early web days. I think I was like, oh, this would be a good one to reformat and put on the web. And I think it went off
oh, yeah?
Shit, yeah. And it was good. It was good advice. It was just keep filing for extensions, and keep pushing it back and keep pushing it back. Yeah. I thought it was such good, well-written piece, informative, So I was like, damn, this is Jason can write a great article too,
No, I can't. I cannot write. That's the whole reason why I started talking for the vaults, Blair.
Yeah, well, those are amazing. Just because I saw you have a Dylan Reader poster behind you when you moved your head.
Oh yeah.
Got any special Dylan Reader memory that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I like the one that I think I might have mentioned it before was for Time to Shine. It was me and Tim. We were out of school in LA, and I think maybe Tim might have brought Dylan up to possibly be in the video, and I don't think I had met him yet. And so he came out. He got a really good line, and I filmed it, and I don't think I liked it that much. And I was like, hey, if you could redo this line in 5 tries, you're going to be in the next TransWorld video. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, you got to do it in 5 tries. He's like, oh, that's all I got to do? And I'm like, it was kind of a hard line, I thought. And he did it first try after that. He did 2 in a row. And I was like, all right, you're in the next TransWorld video. You're going to go, I'll ask John, but you got my vote. You're in. That was the first day I met him.
Which line was it? Was it in his TransWorld?
It was in his part. I want to say it was his first, not his first line, because his first line's in a ditch. It was he goes up on a bank to bench as a blunt, a backside blunt comes in.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's
3
cool.
flip on flat. Impossible is a picnic table.
Right.
And then maybe does another trick after. But he did that line twice.
That Pasadena
two
school
in
or whatever.
It was in El Sereno.
El Sereno.
Yeah.
I remember watching Dylan's part with, I was on an America trip, and Ed Templeton's watching over my shoulder. And when he does the Ollie Impossible tail grab at Bessos, Ed loses his shit. Ed's like, did he just do an Ollie Impossible tail grab? So now everyone's going to do them because of him. Because Ed had never stopped doing them, but they never caught on. And fucking Ed was right, dude. Sure enough.
Yeah, they blew up.
Fuck, dude. I was right there when Ed saw it for the first time. I'll never forget it. He was fucking kind of pissed. He knew it.
I don't know if Dylan ever told me that's why he did them, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Right?
Dylan had history. That, he knew his skating. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's why he was doing them.
Yeah. So funny.
Another story I could think of was we went to Spain probably 3 times for that video, but one time it was kind of a rush trip to Spain, and he decided to come out with me. And it was just one of those trips where that wouldn't happen nowadays, where I'm taking this, and he's young, he was probably 17 or something. I don't know what he was, but we go to Kenny Reed's house, and we had to stay there for 4 days, on the floor on tile, and Dylan didn't care. It was that trip that he did the impossible tail grab over the bump over Bezos. And yeah, I feel back then, kind of what we're talking about earlier, the skaters really cared about being in the video. They're kind of giving it their all. So
that was a unique time in Dylan's career. He wasn't pro yet, and kind of just kind of coming into his own. And
exactly.
It's funny to think that he wouldn't have been a shoo-in for a TransWorld part. Kind of had to work his way to get one. But
yeah,
that's great. Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. That's how those things happened back then. I feel there was kind of some sort of little, I don't know. I guess you kind of had to earn it in some weird way or something back then. But yeah, I remember that story perfectly.
So we can cut this out if I'm remembering it wrong. But did you film anything that was in Bloom?
Yeah.
So did you film Cole do that line at Chafee where he goes up the stairs real quick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember him telling me about that, and it was such a pain in the ass because you had to run up the stairs to.
Yeah. That's funny because my first job in skating was I worked at World Industries.
Oh, okay.
Chris was flow for them. No, he rode for them. No, he totally rode for them.
Yeah, because that's when he got switch front heel, Carlsbad, and all that stuff.
He was staying with me at my parents' house in Rosemead on that trip. I filmed him do that.
You filmed the Carlsbad
and
trip.
That's how.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how I met Chris, was through World Industries.
Wow.
And so he would come stay with me, or he'd stay with me maybe one time or maybe twice. I don't know, but that's how I knew him. And then when the TransWorld video came about, we linked up again together, and it was kind of my trial to get the TransWorld job. Was I met up with John Holland and Chris in Pasadena to film a trick, and I never met John, and I think we used my lights and his lights, and it was kind of my, I don't know, I felt like it was my, what do you call that? You're not the first day on the job, but
a tryout.
Yeah, an audition.
Yeah, a tryout. Yes, it was my tryout to see if I vibed well with John, or if I filmed well. But yeah, that was how I met John, and I filmed the trick there, and then John, I think pretty much the next day, asked if I wanted to work there, and so I kept helping Chris film that part, little bits and pieces.
So.
Yeah,
I remember him telling me that story when he came back, and it was I thought it was you, but I couldn't remember if it was right.
Is he from? Isn't it Langhorne or something? Or
yeah, Langhorne. I live
Langhorne.
5 minutes from Langhorne.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I worked at G Spot, which is the shop that he wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was hanging out with those dudes all in that time.
Yeah, wasn't there Hot Wax and
Hot Wax
and those? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
I think we can wrap it up. I didn't have anything else. Steve and Mitch don't have any other questions unless there's anything else you want to talk about, Jason. Where can people find you online? Where can people find more of your work?
Man, I'll say this. I'll say that going off Instagram has been pretty amazing. Okay. After like kind of leaving the skate world, I kind of just fell off Instagram a couple of years later. And I think I check Instagram like maybe once a month. If that, I have to reinstall it every time I want to, because I don't even have it on my phone. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say by saying this, but I guess you could go follow me on Instagram if you wanted to. I won't really notice, maybe.
I'll plug your TransWorld vaults for you. Twice a month, Jason puts out his TransWorld vaults on skateboarding.com and TransWorld's YouTube. He's going through all of his tapes from when he's making TransWorld videos. We're still in the First Love era right now. Mm-hmm. So good, raw, unseen footage of people like Shiloh, Leo, and then surprise guests like Daywan and Chris Haslam have been popping in there. Oh, yeah. So each one's got some surprises. Yeah, and there's just cool insights to what it was like filming almost 20 years ago, 15 to 18 years ago.
Oh my God, is it? Yeah.
Filming on VX tapes and doctoring the audio to make the clips better.
That definitely does get some.
That was good. Yeah, that
some people hate that. Some people
that got some conversation started. I love it.
Yeah. I'm doing it to this day. I still do it.
As you should. I mean, because it's funny. A lot of people chime in. They're like, "Yeah, like, what do you think you're watching when you watch TV and movies, dummies?" You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Jason. This has been awesome. we could do this.
Yeah, man, thank you.
We could keep going. Steve and Mitch,
thank you for having me on.
Thanks for joining us from the East Coast once again. And hopefully we won't have as long of a hiatus for the next Podus Operandi. You can listen to this on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And on that note, we'll say, see you later.